Friend, let's debunk this myth real quick that Jesus used grape juice for communion instead of wine. Some prohibitionist Christians will try to say that during Passover, Jesus used grape juice and not wine because yeast, leaven, was not allowed for Passover, and yeast is in leaven. So therefore, Jesus couldn't have used wine because they couldn't have yeast. Well, this is an easy one to debunk. If you listen to any rabbi talk about this, they will debunk this quickly. During Passover, they weren't allowed to use leaven, which is a type of yeast. It was a certain type of grain that they weren't allowed to use, like rye and barley and oats. Wild yeast naturally grows on grape. It lands on grapes. And so when you stomp on the grapes, the wild yeast goes into the grapes and starts eating the sugar, and therefore you get wine. Wild yeast is not prohibited for Passover. Only certain grains that are a part of leaven were prohibited. Listen to any Jewish rabbi on this. They have kosher wine and liquor today for Passover. They still do this today. Jesus and them didn't have grape juice back then. Pasteurization didn't come until the late 1800s when a Methodist minister by the name of Welch figured out a scientific way of pasteurization to stop the natural fermentation of grapes turning into wine. That didn't come until the Prohibitionist movement into the 1800s, friend. Jesus and his boys were sipping wine for Passover. We've got to get out of this American prohibitionist folk philosophy. This isn't biblical. This Christian version today of prohibitionism is not biblical. It's all philosophy. It's American-made thoughts and ideas that came during the prohibitionist era. We've got to get out of this. Jesus and his boys were sipping wine, friend. They didn't have grape juice. They were drinking fermented wine. The same ones that try to say Jesus and his boys were drinking grape juice for Passover are the ones who try to say that new wine in the Bible was grape juice. New wine just simply means wine of that year or harvest. They didn't have pasteurization back then, friend. They had wine, fermented drink. If you didn't ferment it and you just tried to put juice in there, the heat and the climate of Jesus' time would have soured it into vinegar or just something undrinkable. Wild yeast is on grapes, and as soon as you crush the grapes, the wild yeast gets down into it, starts eating the sugar, and it starts fermenting within a day or two, especially in Jesus' time. The Hebrew word for new wine is tirosh. And the root word means to take possession of the mind. In other words, it was that intoxicating that it would take possession of one's mind if they drank too much. We see in the Bible where God was referencing them from getting drunk off of new wine. On the day of Pentecost, the people mocked the apostles, said they're drunk off of new wine. In the Old Testament, God said he was going to take away their new wine because they were getting drunk off of it. So yes, it was not aged wine, meaning it hadn't been sitting for years. No, it was wine of that year. It was bottled that year. And wine is at least 12 to 15% alcohol ABV. This is why Jesus would say nobody puts new wine into old wineskins or it will burst the wineskin and the wine will pour out on the ground and be wasted. Why? They used to use goat skins, and when you put new wine in it, it would expand as it was fermenting. It would be releasing the CO2 as the ethanol was being created, and it would expand. And then once it was done, then after a while, after the first fermentation, you could then drink it. But if you put new wine into an old goat skin, an old wine skin, it was already stretched and expanded out. So then when it tried to expand again, it would end up breaking and bursting. Friend, they weren't drinking grape juice. That wasn't a thing. They were drinking alcoholic wine. Anyways, friend, I hope this quick clip blessed you. If you're enjoying these, give them a like. Comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. Share it with a friend. Let's get the good news out. Love y'all. Bless y'all.